President Buhari to meet with service chiefs next Tuesday. Federal government fixes national census for April 2023. Ukraine's President Zelensky solicits more weapons to battle Russian invasion. The details of these stories and more in a moment. Expected to meet with the service chiefs next Tuesday. The meeting comes amid STVNg, the secretary to the government of the federal, attended the meeting virtually from their various locations. With all a message to Nigerians, the president expressed optimism that the country would soon overcome one another, eschew hate, and also be patriotic for the greater good of society. President Buhari noted that Easter evoked the resilience of the human spirit to remain resilient amid trials. In the meantime, President Buhari has inaugurated 68 housing units in Idunwen Ehije along the Benin-Auchi Road under the National Housing Program Phase 1 in Edo. Inaugurating the project in Benin, President Buhari said the housing units provided government the opportunity to redeem the pledge made to the Super Eagles for winning the 1994 African Cup of Nations, which had remained unfulfilled. Represented by the Minister of Health, Osagie Ehanire, the president said he was proud and privileged to redeem the promise Nigeria made to the Super Eagles, even if it was belated. He explained that in states where the housing estate had been completed, the government had issued maintenance contracts to small businesses to ensure that the estates were maintained. Away from that, President Buhari has approved the reconstitution of the board of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. This was contained in a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Garba Shehu. According to the statement, the president's decision is with a view to reposition the bank as a core banking institution with competence in mortgage finance. It could be recalled that President Buhari had in January this year appointed a chartered accountant and financial expert, Ayodeji Beleyi, as chairman of the board. On the new board, Haman Madu, representing the Northeast Zone with a background of over 30 years in the mortgage industry, takes the position of managing director and chief executive officer. Meanwhile, President Buhari has declined assent to the bill seeking to convert the Auchi Polytechnic in Edo State into a University of Technology. The bill, which was passed by both chambers of the National Legislature on September 23, 2021, has been returned to the National Assembly by the Presidency. Presenting the bill for recommittal, Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Abubakar Fulata, said some observations were made which required further legislative action. Reports say the bill has been recommitted to the Committee of the Whole of the House of Representatives for reconsideration. In a related development, Senate has received the Money Laundering and Terrorism Prevention Bill transmitted by President Muhammadu Buhari for expeditious consideration and passage. The bills were accompanied by a letter read at the start of the plenary by the Senate President Ahmad Lawan. President Buhari said the request for the passage of both bills was pursuant to the provisions of Section 8, Subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. He explained that the deficiencies in the country's anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism administration had made it imperative for the passage of both bills. Meanwhile, the presidency has dismissed the call by the Northern Elders Forum (NEF) on President Muhammadu Buhari to resign following the nation's security challenges. In Abuja, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said the resignation of the president would never be a solution to the nation's security problems. He stressed that reforms in internal security will hold soon. Shehu said the security agencies had since intensified efforts to address the recent spike in terrorist activity, particularly in the Kaduna and Niger State axis, as well as in the Niger Delta region, in line with presidential directives. According to him, the defense establishment has realigned and reorganized the ongoing operation in the affected areas to achieve positive results. In another development, the federal government is planning to hold the national population census in April 2023, 1 month after the general election scheduled for February and March. The Director General of the Nigerian Population Commission, Nasser Issa Kwara, confirmed this to State House correspondents after the Council of State meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, noting that the Commission would hold a pilot census in June after the political primaries. Issa Kwara said it will deploy high-grade technology during the exercise. He observed that the current data in use by the country were obsolete projections and that the census would provide more accurate data for national planning. Away from that, Director General and Chief Executive Officer, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, Dr. Danazumi Ibrahim, says the federal government, through Executive Order 5, has restricted the issuance of public presentation of indigenous software for the implementation of Executive Order 5, added that only foreign professionals with skills lacking in Nigeria would get visa approval from the Ministry of Interior. It could be recalled that Executive Order 5 was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari on February 2, 2018, to promote local content in public procurement. On legislative matters, the National Assembly has passed amendments to the 2022 Appropriation Act and 2022 Fiscal Framework. The documents raised the deficit in the federal government's budget by 965.42 billion naira to 7.35 trillion naira. In their chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives considered and adopted reports on the amendment bills at plenary based on the request by President Muhammadu Buhari. Provision for federally funded upstream projects being implemented was reportedly cut by 200 billion naira from 352.8 billion naira, while the projection for federal government independent revenue was raised by 400 billion naira. Still on the legislature, the Senate has approved more than 369 billion naira as budget for the Nigeria Customs Service for the 2022 fiscal year. This is as it earmarked more than 3 trillion naira revenue target for the service in 2022. The budget approval followed consideration of a report by the Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariffs, led by the chairman of the committee, Francis Alimikena. Alimikena noted that the service in 2022 would implement the e-customs project to include the automation of customs agency licenses and vehicle identification number. He said the service, in collaboration with relevant government agencies, would pursue improved internally generated revenue by implementing the 2021 Finance Act. To the lower chamber now, where the House of Representatives has approved 4 trillion naira for subsidy on premium motor spirit known as petrol. The House also approved the reduction in crude oil production quota from 1.8 million barrels per day to 1.6 million barrels per day. and a $73 oil price benchmark. It could be recalled that President Muhammadu Buhari had requested for revision of the 2021 fiscal framework from the House. On judiciary matters, a three-man panel of the Court of Appeal, Lagos Division, led by Justice Peter Afem, has upheld the appeal of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and dismissed the ruling of a federal high court in Lagos in the case involving a former executive director, Projects Niger Delta Development Commission, Toyo Omatsuli. Omatsuli is facing prosecution alongside Francis Momo and two other companies on an amended 45-count charge bordering on conspiracy and money laundering to the tune of 3.6 billion naira. In a judgment delivered by Justice Festus Obunya, the court set aside the ruling of the lower court on November 11, 2020, discharging the respondent of the money laundering charges and urged Omatsuli to enter into his defense accordingly on the same counts. Away from that, Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Fide Tokiria, has announced that Nigerians intending to travel by rail should get their national identity number ready, as it would be a requirement from May 2022. Tokiria said in Abuja that the NIN would be needed to enhance the profiling of passengers to ensure the safety and security of rail users. He said the Abuja-Kaduna train service will resume as soon as possible, with additional security measures in place. It could be recalled that the corporation had suspended the Abuja-Kaduna route following a March 28 attack by assailants who injured passengers and kidnapped some. Akiria said the security agencies were working tirelessly to rescue and release all abductees, noting that 362 passengers and 20 crew members were aboard the train when it was plundered. In a separate development, Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has given the federal government a 21-day ultimatum to resolve the issues with members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU), Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions (NASU), Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, and National Association of Academic Technologists. This was contained in a communique jointly signed by the NLC President Ayuba Waba and the Congress General Secretary Emmanuel Ubwaja. NLC, which frowned at government's failure to honor its 2009 renegotiated agreement, noted that after the ultimatum expires, it will decide on the next line of action if the government failed to resolve the impasse. The group therefore called on the federal government to immediately set up a high-powered panel constituted of members with requisite mandates to resolve within 21 days the foregoing issues militating against industrial harmony in Nigeria's university system. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has suspended the continuous voter registration exercise in Ihite Uboma local government area of Imo State. A statement signed by INEC National Commissioner Festus Okoye explained that the decision was taken after an INEC staff was shot dead by gunmen. According to Okoye, the staff Nwokorie Antony was shot dead at Nkwo Ihite in Amakohea ward of the area. Reports say two other staff involved in the exercise at the polling unit are also missing. Elsewhere, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has said no fewer than 677 traffickers have been convicted and jailed between January and March 2022. NDLEA spokesperson Femi Babafemi said within the period under review, a total of 3,359 arrests were made, while 65,915,891 kilograms of assorted drugs were seized. He said about 2,223 drug users were also counseled through brief interventions and rehabilitation in NDLEA facilities across the country in the first quarter of the year. In a separate development, Amnesty International's Nigerian director, Osai Ojigo, has alleged that Nigeria is failing to protect vulnerable children by refusing to respond to alerts of impending attacks on schools across the north. A report by the body observed that the recent upsurge in abductions led to prolonged shutdowns of schools and a decline in school enrollment and attendance, as well as a rise in child marriage and pregnancies of school-age girls. The group therefore called on Nigerian authorities to urgently comply with the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, to which it is a state party, and take concrete steps to prevent abduction of children. It also demanded that those suspected of criminal responsibility be made to face justice in fair trials. The Speaker of the House of Assembly in Sokoto, Aminu Achida, has defected from the All Progressives Congress APC to the People's Democratic Party PDP. The Speaker presented the letter of his defection to the Assembly during today's plenary session. Also, a member of the State House of Assembly representing Wamako 2 constituency, Monotala Maigona, has dumped the APC for the PDP. Elsewhere, 106 people have so far been buried following the attacks on communities in Plateau State. This is according to the chairman of Kanam local government area of Plateau State, Dayabu Garba, who gave an update about the renewed violence in some parts of the north-central state. He said the area was still picking more dead bodies in the farmlands. Garba also said there were more than 16 people hospitalized. According to the council chairman, the attacks have rendered hundreds of people homeless and increased the number of internally displaced persons. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has continued his consultation of strategic stakeholders in furtherance of his presidential bid by visiting two former heads of state, retired General Ibrahim Babangida and General Abdul Salam Abubakar in Mina. Speaking during the visit, the governor intimated the elder statesmen of his vision for a better Nigeria, defined by a revamped economy, security of lives and property, and durable infrastructure. On their part, both former leaders congratulated Emmanuel for his courage in stepping into the ring at the national stage and commended the excellent manner he has administered Akwa Ibom State. They assured him of their blessings, advice, and prayers. Meanwhile, Governor Emmanuel has consulted the Senate and House of Representatives over his presidential ambition, thus receiving a nod of members of the PDP caucus in both chambers for his performance in office for the past nearly 7 years. In separate consultations in Abuja, Governor Emmanuel told the federal lawmakers that his decision to throw his heart into the ring came after ordinary Nigerians responding to the call by a media organization, the Brekete Family Human Rights Radio and TV, had urged him to run during his January 7, 2022 appearance on their program. He said several Nigerians who listened to the media interview contributed money and helped purchase the presidential nomination forms, urging him to run. Governor Emmanuel told the lawmakers that he decided to run because he believes in his capacity to make Nigeria safe, peaceful, attract investments, and become economically vibrant. At the meeting with the PDP Senate caucus at the residence of the minority leader, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, Governor Emmanuel was appreciated for the pace of development he has brought to Akwa Ibom through industrialization and infrastructural development. Subsequently, Governor Emmanuel was asked to take a bow, while the lawmakers applauded him. The governor was accompanied by several Akwa Ibom PDP stakeholders who had earlier in the day accompanied the preferred candidate for the state's governorship race, Pastor Moino, to submit his nomination forms at the PDP National Secretariat. Still in Akwa Ibom, the state chapter of the Federal Road Safety Corps has deployed 547 operatives, including special marshals, to man strategic locations within the state during the Easter celebration. This was confirmed in a statement by the State Sector Commander Matthew Olonishaye issued by the Public Enlightenment Officer Paul James in Uyo. The release noted that 11 patrol vehicles and 2 ambulances had been deployed, while arrangements had been made for tow trucks to clear any obstruction during the period. It called on all motorists and other categories of road users to apply caution while using the roads. Meanwhile, Nigerians have been advised to reduce bush burning and other activities that release carbon monoxide into the atmosphere, causing climate change. This was reiterated in an address to mark World Health Day themed Our Planet, Our Health. A correspondent has a report.
Behavioral patterns like burning fossil fuels, bush burning, and activities that release carbon monoxide and methane leads to the emission of greenhouse gases that in turn heats up the planet, causing changes in atmospheric pressure, which is known as climate change, and its impact on the Earth's weather pattern. According to the World Health Organization, 80% of climate change affects vulnerable, the elderly population, low-income communities and children, as well as impacts access to healthcare services and infrastructure. With Africa's population projected to grow to 2.5 billion by 2050, the organization urges its member states not to lose sight of the fundamental truth that the climate crisis is the biggest threat facing humanity and encouraged them to urgently initiate adaptation and mitigation actions. The Minister of State for Health, Olorunimbe Mamora, during his address to mark the 2022 World Health Day, themed Our Planet, Our Health, expressed concerns that the current environmental crisis has led to worsening non-communicable diseases in Nigeria, unsettled the lives of many individuals, while causing profound disruptions in the global economy. He noted that urgent actions need to be taken to safeguard the planet, advised against the use of fossil fuels and its exploration. He further encouraged an increase in clean energy production and use.
Still to come in the news. Port Harcourt refinery to begin operation from first quarter in 2023. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. In Africa, Somalia's newly elected members of parliament have been sworn in after a long-delayed and chaotic voting process that was marred by a power struggle between the president and his prime minister. Almost 300 parliamentarians took the oath of office in a ceremony inside the heavily guarded airport zone in the capital Mogadishu. Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Robo said at the ceremony that the country had faced challenges and endured attempts to stop it from reaching the occasion, but that it was happy to witness the event. Still in Africa, an ally of the Gambia's former ruler Yahya Jammeh has been sworn in as parliamentary speaker, following his nomination by President Adama Barrow. In his maiden speech, Fabakary Jatta called for Parliament to be the embodiment of nation building and a beacon of hope. His appointment as Speaker came after Barrow reached a deal with the Jammeh's Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC. Jammeh had reportedly fled into exile in January 2017 after being defeated by Barrow in elections. Elsewhere, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has visited survivors in one of the townships in the city of Durban, which has been struck by floods and mudslides stoked by record rains. Residents had to flee their homes as the whole of KwaZulu-Natal province has been declared a disaster area. Reports say at least 315 people have died after roads and hillsides were washed away and homes collapsed, with search for missing persons still ongoing and the death toll expected to rise. Ukraine's President Zelensky has called on the West to give him weapons sooner and faster. He was speaking to newsmen in Kyiv. He said after visiting Bucha, a town near Kyiv where civilians were found executed, he felt nothing but hatred for the Russian army. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused European countries that continue to buy Russian oil of earning their money in other people's blood. In an interview with newsmen, President Zelensky singled out Germany and Hungary, accusing them of blocking efforts to embargo energy sales, from which Russia stands to make up to £250 billion this year. There has reportedly been a growing frustration among Ukraine's leadership with Berlin, which has backed some sanctions against Russia, but so far resisted calls to back tougher action on oil sales. In a related development, more than 100 people have been abducted in Melitopol, a small city in southeastern Ukraine, and one of the first to fall to the Russians since Russia invaded in early March. This is according to the city mayor Ivan Fedorov. Fedorov was allegedly abducted by Russian forces in March and freed 5 days later in exchange for 9 captured Russian conscripts. He said the head of Melitopol District Council, Serhiy Primer, has been in Russian captivity for over a month. Elsewhere, Britain will fly many asylum seekers 4,000 miles to Rwanda under a landmark plan to take back control of illegal immigration. Home Secretary Priti Patel arrived in Rwandan capital Kigali and is due to sign a 5-year agreement tomorrow. Reports say it will initially cost British taxpayers $120 million to execute the deal. Now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Buchan.
Hi, good evening, and thank you, Xavier Roberts. It's business news. My name is Blyden Ukem. In the news, we'll begin with a sudden story around NFT. Sina Estavi, an Iranian-born crypto entrepreneur, the owner of Default Crypto Ventures, Bridge Oracle, and Cryptoland, has been in shock following non-fungible token NFT auctions, which fell in value below the expectations of the NFT community. Sani Estavi acquired Twitter's founder Jack Dorsey's first tweet as an NFT for $2.9 million in March 2021. On April 6, 2022, Estavi attempted to sell the NFT tweet for a gain of $22.1 million, having placed the tweet for sale at $25 million. According to Sina Estavi, he planned to give 50% of the earnings to charity. However, he received between $5.92 and $6,856.32 from interested bidders. The bidder offering $6,856.32 gave Estavi 3 days to accept his offer, while the $5.92 bidder gave the longest time frame of 24 days. Meanwhile, Twitter founder Jack Dorsey made the world's first tweet on 21st March 2006. Let's look at stories around the stake world as Elon Musk makes offer to buy 91% of Twitter shares. Tesla boss Elon Musk has offered to buy Twitter, saying he is the right person to unlock the potentials of the social media platform. This was revealed on Thursday, a few days after the Tesla CEO said he would no longer be joining the social media company and their board of directors. According to Twitter Incorporated, Mr. Musk, who currently owns slightly more than 9% of the company's stock, its biggest shareholder, provided a letter on Wednesday proposing the buy of the remaining 91% of shares. He offered $54.2 per share, valuing the company at $43.4 billion, calling the price his best and final offer. Meanwhile, Twitter only gave Mr. Musk a seat on its board on the condition that he would not own more than 14.9% of the company's outstanding stock, according to a filing. As reported, Twitter has received Musk's bid, and the board will evaluate Mr. Musk's offer. And to oil production in Nigeria. The federal government announced that the Port Harcourt refinery would commence operations by the first quarter of 2023. This was according to the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, who said the Port Harcourt refinery would be able to refine 60,000 barrels of crude oil per day from next year. During the one-day facility tour of the Port Harcourt Refining Company in Eleme, Rivers State, Timipre Silva added that with the rehabilitation rate ongoing, Nigeria would be refining her crude oil soon. The contract cost for the ongoing rehabilitation of the refinery was placed at $1.5 billion. Also, the chairman of NNPC board, Mrs. Margaret Okadibu, said that when the nation's refineries begins operations, foreign exchange expenditures would be drastically reduced with a lower cost of fuel. And let's look at CBN appointments. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has approved the appointment of 2 executive directors into the Zenith Bank board alongside 2 non-executive directors. In a statement released on Wednesday to the Nigerian Exchange Limited, Adobe Nwapa and Anthony Ogunranti were appointed as executive directors of the bank. Zenith Bank reported that Peter Olatunde Bankole was appointed as independent non-executive director and Chuks Emma Oko as a non-executive director to help create the company policies. The appointment of the 4 executives became effective on April 12, 2022. And it's time for the Nigerian stock market report. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 114 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 21 gainers and 17 losers. Regarding the performance of market indices, the benchmark All-Share Index climbed 191.14 basis points, a 0.4% increase to close at 47,558.45 points. Compared with yesterday's trading day, today's data shows 2% decline in volume, 60% decline in turnover, but 15% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange improved to 25.6 trillion naira. Sky Shelter Fund led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 77 naira per share. On the losing side, Stanbic IBTC Holdings came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 5.86% at its 2.15 naira per share. Fidelity Bank recorded the highest volume of 74.8 million traded shares. This is all on business news, and over to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Blyden. Still to come in the news. NFF appoints coaches for Home Eagles, Flying Eagles, and Golden Eaglets. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. In health, 13 new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed in Nigeria, putting the country's new total at 255,646. Making up the new list are 6 cases in Lagos, 3 in Rivers, 2 in Delta, and 1 case each in the FCT and Kano. So far, 249,000 842 people have been discharged, while 3,143 others have died from the virus. Still in health, the federal government has made a case for implementation of the National Surgical Obstetric Anesthesia and Nursing Plan at sub-national levels in Nigeria to expand access to surgical treatment. Minister of Health Osagie Ehanire stated this in Abuja at a workshop on dissemination of the plan to states in Nigeria organized by the ministry. Ehanire said the plan would also give positive outcomes leading to better health care for Nigerians. The minister, who was represented by the ministry's Director of Hospital Services, Dr. Adebimpe Adebiyi, explained that the essence was to have all actors in the surgical space on the same page for accelerated care in the country. Meanwhile, World Health Organization's Regional Office for Africa in Brazzaville, Congo, has announced that researchers in Botswana and South Africa have detected new sub-lineages of the Omicron variant and are carrying out further investigations to fully understand crucial traits such as infectivity and virulence. WHO said experts are working with scientists and researchers in the two countries to deepen analysis of the sub-lineages, which have so far been identified in 4 people in Botswana and 23 in South Africa. Meanwhile, WHO's Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Machitiso Moeti, has assured that there is no cause for alarm with the emergence of the new subvariants. Over now to Bright James for trending sports stories.
Thank you, Sylvia Robert. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Bright James. In tennis, already a champion in Madrid and Rome, the German Alexander Zverev is now 3 wins from adding a Monte Carlo trophy to his collection. Zverev defeated 13th seed Pablo Carreño Busta 6-2, 7-5 earlier today, Thursday, to reach the quarterfinals of the Monte Carlo Masters. The second seed will face 5th seed Andrei Rublev or 9th seed Yannick Sinner for sports in the last 4. The second seed will, of course, be in action much later. So from Monte Carlo, the final Tsitsipas title defense at the Monte Carlo Masters continued to gather pace earlier today when the Greek overcame Laszlo Djere 7-5, 6-1 to reach the quarterfinals. The third seed now leads Djere 2-0 in their ATP head-to-head series, having also defeated the world number 62 in Acapulco in February. The 23-year-old has captured 7 tour-level titles in his career, but has not lifted a trophy since Lyon last May. Tsitsipas will continue his bid to change that when he faces 12-seeded Diego Schwartzman in the 10th Masters 1000 quarterfinal. Now in athletics, 7-time Olympic gold medalist Allyson Felix will run one final track a season months after competing in her 5th game before retiring from athletics. The most decorated American track and field Olympian picked up bronze in the 400 meters in gold, the 4x400 meters relay in Tokyo last year, having already confirmed that it would be her final games. In an Instagram post, she said that she would say goodbye to the sport with one last run. The 13-time world champion became an advocate for working mothers after giving birth to her daughter, Cameron, via an emergency C-section in 2018. Now to football, where following the recommendation of its Technical and Development Subcommittee, the Executive Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) has approved the appointment of Salisu Yusuf as the head coach of the Super Eagles B, otherwise known as Chan team, as well as the Under-23 Olympics team. Yusuf will work with Kenny Boboye as assistant coach, Fatai Osho assistant coach, Abubakar Bala Mohammed assistant coach, Fidelis Ilechuko assistant coach, Eberi Besi Nwamore match analyst, and Ike Shurumo goalkeepers trainer. Suleiman Schweibo would act as goalkeepers trainer too. In other appointments, Landon Bosso retains his position as head coach of the Under-23 boys. He will work with former Under-17 head coach Fatayamo as assistant coach. For the Under-17 boys, Golden Eaglets Nduka Ogbade was named head coach for the under-23 and under-15 boys known as Future Eagles. Patrick Bassi will be head coach. The NFF also said that a new head coach for the Super Eagles will be announced and officially unveiled once the processes for his engagement and contract signing are concluded. Finally, Ukraine will return to competitive action in their delayed World Cup playoff against Scotland on June 1st. FIFA has confirmed the path. A semi-final was postponed ahead of its original date in March following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February, which led to the cessation of all football in the country and a requirement for all Ukrainian male above the age of 18 to remain in the country. FIFA and UEFA have now agreed on a June 1st date for the game in Glasgow, with the winners going forward to play Wales and Cardiff on the 5th of June for a place in the World Cup. The successful team will then compete in Group B alongside Qatar, England, and the United States and Iran. Ukraine have not played any games since facing Bosnia and Herzegovina in their final World Cup qualifying group game last November. And that's it from the sports desk this evening. I am Bright James. Over now to B2 Brian for STVNg News.
Thanks, Bright James. Hello and welcome to the entertainment desk. I am Beto Brian. First off in our bulletin this evening, actor Cuba Gooding Jr. pleads guilty to forcible touching. American actor Cuba Gooding Jr. pleaded guilty on Wednesday to forcibly touching a woman at the Manhattan nightclub in 2018. The sexual misconduct allegation was amongst many made against Gooding, who was arrested 3 years ago by the New York Police Department NYPD. The Associated Press reported that Gooding, aged 54, previously pleaded not guilty to this charge and several other misdemeanor conducts. Gooding was arrested in June 2019 on a misdemeanor charge after a woman told police he touched her without her consent a few days earlier at the Magic Hour rooftop bar and lounge. A few months later, according to ABC News, 2 more women came forward and accused him of forcibly touching them in 2018 at Tao Downtown and Lavon, New York nightclub, respectively. Gooding, who broke out in 1991's Boys and the Hood, is best known for his Oscar-winning turn in 1996 film Jerry Maguire. He earned an Emmy nomination in 2016 for playing the title role in The People, v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. He then appeared to take a break acting from 2019 following his arrest, but has since starred in a few films, one of which is in post-production. In January, reports gathered that Gooding asked the federal judge to dismiss a $6 million lawsuit from 2020, claiming he raped a woman twice in 2013. Gooding has denied the allegations, however. Moving away from that, singer T.I. Blaze has been arrested by the police. This is according to a member of the Fast Rising Music Stars crew. In an Instagram live video shared via T.I. Blaze's page on Wednesday, April 13, 2022, the music star was seen being manhandled by men of the Nigerian police force. The person behind the camera, Eyewitness, also alleged that he was manhandled by the NPF, and the singer later took to his Instagram story where he alleged that the police threatened to kill him, but it's not clear, however, if the singer has been released from police custody. The singer joined the list of fast-rising stars that have been arrested by security forces in Nigeria lately, as it will be recalled that in February, Malian record signee Zinolinski and Mobad were arrested by the Nigerian Log Draw and Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. The NDLEA spokesman has released a statement saying, yes, they were arrested because they had reliable information that they were in possession of drugs, and they moved in on them and recovered the drug. Spokesperson, as confirmed from Daily Times, did reports. Akintunde Abiodun Timilayin, popularly known as T.I. Blaze, is a fast-rising Nigerian superstar and a songwriter who rose to fame in 2021 after Nigerian music rapper Olamide featured him in a remix of his hit song tagged Sometimes, which received massive airplay and millions of streams on various digital platforms. Finally, from the entertainment desk this evening, singer David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, has splashed 2.5 billion naira on a new plot of land in Banana Island. The Nigerian music star Davido revealed that he's about to build one of the most stunning houses ever. The singer, already known to own choice properties in Banana Island, recently received a property from his father. The singer and billionaire heir made this known via his Instagram story on Thursday, April 14, 2022, where he shared photos and videos of the piece of land where he plans to build the house. When Davido announced that his father gifted him a property earlier in the year, he revealed that he was going to build something amazing for his children. The music star recently opened his new Banana Island home. The house is located in the exclusive highbrow area of Lagos Island and has a variety of interesting features to include a lift in his private home. It is not clear, however, how much the new crib costs, but popular blogger Tunde Ednot revealed that the value of the property is extremely exclusive and would cost in the range of 2.5 billion naira. Aside from being the son of one of the richest men in the country, Davido has earned his wealth from his successful musical career that has spanned over 10 years. His most latest achievement was being featured on the World Cup official themed song, Higher Higher. The billionaire also has major investments in several businesses, including motorsports, aviation, and the movie industry. That's our package this evening from the entertainment desk. I am Beto Brian. Thanking you for listening.